Right now we're in West End, Berlin at the NiP gaming house. We're about to go into match in a few hours versus Rockhead. It's our 11th match of the LCS regular season and we're hoping to pick up our first series today. In total we had 2.5 days of scrims before our first LCS match. I think our first few weeks was as hard as they could possibly be, but we actually had quite a good performance in the beginning, taking into consideration that we didn't have any sort of practice going on. Going into this split, we knew that this was sort of a suicidal project, and the real goal for us, for the organizations, for me, for the players, is that we survive the split. And the idea is to use the split as a growing split and get used to the environment, and then over the off season, which is 3 or 4 months, we can maybe take a boot camp in Korea and actually really prepare for next season. And this is a long-term project. We're not expecting to come in and actually swipe people and go playoffs. Obviously it would be super cool if we did it, but we didn't, and that's okay, because the real goal is next year. I've had a lot of different experiences with a lot of different teams in my past. I started out as a player and I moved over to coaching a team that I was playing in. I coached some Challenger Series teams before I moved over to working with Origin, with the semi-final Worlds roster of Sven Mithi, Xpeka or Power of Evil as well, and Amazing SOS. Then I worked with them for about a year until I moved on to Fnatic. And going into the split, starting with this team, actually fully building the team myself and putting together the whole staff, picking out every player that I wanted. It's a very different experience, and I think we've been able to put in a lot of good structure. Me and Jens, our mental coach, it's a very much a partnership experience for me and him, actually controlling the whole team environment and making sure that we have a good structure and we have good practices and we have the good mindset going into matches. And even if it's hard and even if we're losing, we're still able to have really good practices, and there's actually a really good atmosphere, so we can't be nothing but happy about it. I think once you start losing matches in the beginning, it's okay because you still have that fire to want to make a comeback, especially if you're having close matches, which we did. But over time it really becomes a grind when you keep losing and you don't really get that first win. It took a lot of weeks before we even won the first game in a match. But obviously the atmosphere takes a hit from this, but then it's about changing the perspective and how you look at things and what mentality you're having. At this point we're at today, where we're for sure locked into relegation, the only thing we're doing is trying to reach our ceiling as much as possible over the course of the next weeks, so that going into relegation we'll be as strong as we can possibly be, and then we're going to sweep them, and then we're going to stay in LCS.
So throughout the days we always go out and take a break, mostly because we want to get some fresh air and get a little bit of exercise in. Sometimes we take a walk, sometimes we go out and play a little football and frisbee. I
think in terms of the value of a single win, like winning a series, for morale and for motivation and for knowing that you're actually doing the right thing and we're moving in the right direction, it's extremely important. It's always easier to go through while you're winning. There's most teams, they have a lot of internal issues, but if you're winning, those issues don't really take control. Whereas if you're losing or you're going through rough patches, all of the small issues become really big issues, and then it's really down to who's actually mentally mature enough to go through them. I think for us, we have a quite mature group of players, and we have a good staff that actually helps the players deal with the situation that we're in. A win would mean a lot, but it's not going to be necessary for us to actually survive relegation.
Let's see, 20 seconds on Foxy, one of the mans we're looking at to respawn. What it is recalling, TP in from Profit, only one turret left.
There's
should be easy.
Ways that Pride Soccer can make this happen. 15 seconds on the clock. The Ninjas in pajamas are doing the unthinkable. Where were you when NiP won their first series of summer?
We don't yet know what teams we're going to face in relegation, but we know that we're heading there. Like, I have a lot of extra staff below me, analysts and other helpers or friends, and there's going to be a lot of studying on the teams that actually qualify for the promotion tournament. The remaining weeks we have in LCS is just a learning experience for us. Like, win or lose, it doesn't really matter so much. It's just about using the practice as well as we can and improving as much as we can and finding out our identity going into the promotion tournament. If we're truly able to come together as a team and get anywhere close to our ceiling, I'm not worried at all for relegations. It always warms our heart when we see people showing up at the studio with NiP jerseys or getting good messages, whether it's Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is. Like, whatever support you give to the team, especially when they're not doing optimally, it always gets through. Like, there's a lot of hate in the world, and there's a lot of hate for people and teams that are not doing so well. But the fans that stick with you through thick and thin and don't care about whether you're winning or losing, but they're there for the team, those are amazing fans, and they mean the world to us. And I wouldn't personally be here today. And I think a lot of the players wouldn't want to be here today if it wasn't for the amazing fan scene that is in esports. And the fans for NiP is amazing. Like, there's not much more to say. You're a true ninjas, all of you.